There we go. Hi, Anka.
There
How
we
are
go.
you?
I'm well. I'm well. How are you? How are you? Today we have a very interesting topic. We're talking about vulnerability. I think it's one that, especially in the digital space, has sort of the more we are online, and everything seems to be so public, right? So I think that topic has become more of a thing, like more of a concern of people.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to hear what you've got to say about it. I think I've touched on it in a book chapter that I contributed in the Fear and Us series, like the And Us series, and I think vulnerability, it comes down to trust. Because if I'm
Mm,
thinking it's like, what is it that I don't want you to know about me? You
I
know,
love that.
it's, well, that depends on who you are. Right? That very much depends on who you are. If
Right.
it's the public, then it's like, well, you get to see a certain version of me. It doesn't have to be insincere. It can be fully um, open, but there'll be things that I won't share on social media, right? So,
Right.
and then there will be things that I will only share with really good friends.
Mm.
So,
So I love
and
that.
what
It's definitely to do with a feeling of safety in the
Mhm.
relationship and how much can I show you of my real self. Brene Brown speaks so beautifully when she talks of we armor up. And when we
Yeah.
armor up, we really distance ourselves from each other. And if we want to get intimate, then we really have to open that heart space. I was talking to a client this week who's only just started a relationship with his 30-year-old son who didn't know he was his father. And my client is a very well accomplished person. He has many, many degrees and accolades, and he's high up in a government position. And he said to me, I want to give this child everything, this man, everything. And he's kind of resistant. And I said to him, all I think he wants from you is not all your certificates. He just wants heart to heart
Yeah.
connection. And can you step out from behind all that of who you are, this important man, and what you've achieved, and just meet him in that heart space? And he was blown away that he could do that.
Hmm.
He was blown
That's
away that, yeah, that felt right to him. I need to show myself so we can get together rather than I don't need to impress him.
that's so true. That's so true. And I mean, even when you think about what is it that we hold back from people we don't trust, it's basically, I think it's usually the things that we think aren't likable about ourselves or might get judged or rejected. But then that's the thing, like that is still me making things up because who am I to know how many times, you know, have you kind of not wanted to say something, but then when you actually bring it out for the other person, it's no big deal,
Right, right.
right?
And
So
that's
I think what it is that we kind of guard is still a very, we make stuff up about what that means, and we can't know what will and will not make somebody judge you. They might judge you about something you're proud of, right? So it's like, you
right.
know,
We're actually judging ourselves.
hmm
And the truth is that I see this that there's nothing that harshness will do, that loving kindness won't do better. And I see that when we don't want to be vulnerable, we're not only judging ourselves harshly and we're putting in a tremendous amount of effort to keep our armor on, but then we're also very judgmental of the other.
hmm
And if we can trust ourselves that I am worthy, I'm entitled to this opinion, I am worthy, then we can trust the other so much more.
yeah, that's true. That's true. And and I think even sharing something that didn't go well or that we're not proud of, I think it's quite often a way for other people to, oh, so it's not just me then, right? So I think it often makes room for a lot of connection.
Right.
I mean, I actually get that when, say, I don't know, it's when I email, people on my email list, for example. So now I'll go and I'll share a story, and there's something like, sometimes it's funny things, or sometimes it's something that didn't go well, didn't go as planned. They usually emailed when somebody writes back and go, oh, thank you. So, I mean, I thought it was just me. I think every time we think something, it's just me, something wrong with me. But the moment you see, well, actually, that's normal experience.
It makes a human space.
Exactly. It offers something. I always say, if you want people to connect with people, you need to give them something to connect to.
Right. And also, I love that. I love that. You need to give them something to connect to. And I would imagine you see this a lot in your work. I know I do with mine, not in as directly creative and in terms of what the work is that you're bringing out. But when people feel they can be vulnerable, fall down, look at themselves, take responsibility, that's where they're able to be so much more creative. When, this is what I've learned about myself. This is where I need to recalculate. And I find that in a tremendous space of growth. I see it in my work. You obviously see it more on a technical side, where there's in a relationship, we see a harmonious time and a rupture, and then the repair. And that repair needs the vulnerability piece. It needs for you to step into your courage, into your bravery, say, this is what's been going on for me.
It's so true. At the end of the day, it's about courage and trust, right? Because actually, literally, the topics just come up before this in another conversation and I've also had people tell me that. It's like, oh, that sense of safety, like, oh, I know I don't, like, you're not going to make me feel stupid, right? So it's like, I can say when I don't understand something, or I do feel safe to raise my concerns, or to experiment with things that I wouldn't have otherwise experimented. So I quite often is, oh, well, I know you're there, so I can click here because I know nothing can go wrong. So well, nothing can go wrong even if I'm not here. So it's like when people have that sense that they can actually, they're safe to say or do something, that's when they get a chance to experience that when they make that jump, that the jump wasn't half as big as they thought they would. And that's where the growth is, that's where the learning is. But you have to have that, okay, I feel okay to jump here.
Right, because change is going to happen whether we want it to or not. But it's progress that will happen with our intention, and will happen with our courage and our bravery to take that step. It might be a leap, but it could be just a small step, and see how does that feel? How does that sit here with me? So, I think there's a lot of, it needs trust. It needs that open heart space. People love seeing who you really are. It's not seen, if it's not interpreted as a weakness, it's an interpretation of, I want to show you my humanness with all its flaws and warts and knobs and whatever. And can you still love me? That's very powerful.
And I think that's usually the concern. But when you actually have the courage to share their story, to share your story. I mean, I still remember when I shared the story of my totally failed business venture, the doggy poop bag club kind of thing. It went so well, so pear-shaped, and it was literally like total failure. When it kind of gives people permission, so it's like, oh, so I can share too, and I trust you now, because I think if we present something that is a little too polished, and everybody knows life goes up and down. We all have things that go well. We have things that go pear-shaped. There'll be moments when we do the right thing. There'll be moments when we maybe don't do what we wish we could do. And if you present this picture perfect facade, again, like, ooh, something's like, it's too polished.
Right.
It's suspicious. It's like you don't, I think people will trust you more when they see, well, yeah, you actually, something didn't go right, and you did something that you're not proud of, right? So it's like, it's trust building.
Right. I love that. I love that. I think that's a great place for us to end today, about trust and courage and bravery, to show
Yeah.
the parts that you possibly don't like in yourself. Thank you, Anka, for today.
Thanks for another fabulous topic.
Great. See you next week. Bye.